What's up YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. Today is going to be a fun one. Today I have to get a check ride done. Well, an SFAR 73 check. It's a bunch of lingo. I need it in the 22. It's kind of like a type rating in the 22 versus 44. So in this helicopter I have to have the FAA sit next to me and say, alright Matt, do these maneuvers, and then they sign me off to be able to instruct in this helicopter. I have it in another helicopter, 44, but I don't have it in this because I don't instruct in this. I got to land to pick up the FAA. They're going to sit next to me at DPE. His name is John. He's an experienced DPE who's been doing it for a while. And I asked him, John, you're a really interesting guy, and I'll get into it in a second. Can we film and talk to each other while we're doing this? And he said yes. So he flew in the 160th Night Stalkers in the Army. He was an Army helicopter pilot. He flew Blackhawks and Little Birds and all kinds of things. There's a long list, but Blackhawks and Little Birds is what he mainly has his time in. During the big flood that happened last year, John and his team went there in, I think, 344s and fuel trucks and everything, and they were one of the first relief crews helping people. And since I'm already going to be talking to John, I've kind of had a little bit of this conversation off camera, and then I was like, hey, let's have this conversation on camera because you were interesting, and I'm only going to have him here for probably, I don't know, less than 30 minutes anyways, but I figured let's talk to him, let's ask him some questions. It's pretty interesting stuff. He, again, was one of the first guys, him and his team, helicopter pilots on the ground helping in Asheville. He has a whole bunch of stories to go with that, and some stuff that I've never heard before from anybody else. So you guys are going to hear it here first. He's a really interesting guy. Again, he's a DPE, very experienced. First and foremost, of course, I got to do this check ride and get my sign off, and then I'll turn on the cameras and we'll do it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll put a link to his company's name. He co-founded it, and they were the ones who were first on the grounds. Nobody paid them. They just took up everything and said, let's go help out. And so I think it's pretty admirable what they did. So I'll give you guys his info in the description so you can go check him out and what he's got going on. Again, his name's John Kennard. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but super guy. I've already talked to him for a while, and I'm going to quiz him about North Carolina and what actually went on there. I rarely see helicopter pilots get talked about there, and some of the private guys who went there. I know there was a couple big YouTubers who ended up flying down there, but I don't think they were in the the nitty-gritty of the whole time there, just because I don't think they were allowed to. But I think John was really in there. He knows a lot, so we're going to ask him a lot of questions, and yeah, let's get into it now. Woodliff area traffic, helicopter 939, show tells 1000, 2 to the east, inbound for landing at Woodliff. Alright, so John's currently doing a check ride with my buddy at Woodliff, so that's the air park that they're at. I'm going to go in there and land, pick him up. Hopefully he's ready to go, so we'll see. Woodliff area traffic, helicopter 939, show tell is turning final for 36 Woodliff. Like they're trying to get this helicopter started. Oh, that's not good. Alright, so as I was telling you guys about John, he has a ton of interesting stories. We could be here for 10 hours in this helicopter flying, but we don't have all that time. So, what I'm going to ask you about, sir, is something that I feel like does not get talked about enough, and I haven't seen anything about the stuff that you were telling me about in Asheville. Okay, so let's start off. You guys were pretty much one of the first ones, your company, out there. So just give me a little brief into that. I mean, when did you make that decision? When you saw it, what happened and all that?
We noticed on the news, we saw little tidbits, they like show like a 2-second spot on it.
Okay.
And then I talked to all of our guys, and everybody in the company decided, hey, let's just take 3 helicopters and 2 trucks, all of our people, 2 trailers full of gas, and let's go.
Wow.
And we did. We showed up at the Harley Davidson shop, Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And a buddy of ours was there running it, Savage Arms.
Okay.
Savage Freedom Defense. And he
That's
pretty
not
much had
Nick
a
Seiko, is it?
do what?
That's not Nick, is it?
No.
Okay,
No.
sorry. Savage. Sorry, when you said Savage, there's another guy out of Vegas by that same name.
Adams guy, big. He's a retired Delta Force guy.
Okay.
Amazing guy. We go down there and he's got literally a picnic table set up.
Does he?
And about 30 people sitting out there, and it went from a picnic table and 30 people to a full-blown about 150, almost all retired military out there. I mean, we're armed. We have all kinds of trucks, 18-wheelers pulling up every day full of water, food, generators, gas, and then Elon Musk brings a whole bunch of Starlink internet systems.
Woodlift air traffic, like 939, tell us final 36 Woodlift.
Yep, Elon Musk guy. They show up and they bring a whole bunch of Starlink systems. We just start giving them out to everybody, all the fire departments, police departments, people that are isolated. We just gave everybody everything that we could carry.
So I'm shooting here a normal approach. We're gonna try to keep ourselves above 30 knots as we get slower. Doing here. Okay, sweet. Okay, I'm glad I got you. Well, I kind of interrupted you because I didn't think you were talking anymore.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. Let's keep going. So, Elon brought in the Starlink.
Yep.
How far of a span by the time you got down there did Elon get there and more supplies start getting there?
Oh goodness. It was instantaneous but gradual at the same time, if that makes
Okay.
sense. The one day there's like 2 or 3 pallets worth of supplies there.
Okay.
Within 2 to 3 days, every time I came back from dropping stuff off in a helicopter,
Okay.
there would be 10 to 15 more pallets worth of stuff there.
Wow.
And I mean,
and who's doing that?
oh, people are donating. Like,
That's amazing.
companies were donating. I mean, I pull up one day and there's like 25 or 30 Polaris generators there. And they just said, give them to people who need them. Polaris generators, 50 or 60 gas cans. They're like, hey, just take gas to people. You have the controls. And and next thing you know, pallets of food, water.
That's
There had to be
amazing.
100 pallets of water out there.
100 pallets of water, and these are just people are donating. People are setting it up for a little infrastructure, like through the Harley Davidson, that
Yep.
people can donate.
Yep.
Oh, we're gonna start pulling power.
was amazing.
Here, coming to a hover. I'm gonna do a clearing turn.
You're clear left.
Clear left. Take the active way. Woodlift area traffic. Look up to 939 straight tells. Taking off. 36 remain in pattern right traffic. Woodlift. So at that point, when the infrastructure started to come, you started mainly, it was like 90-10% in terms of dropping off supplies and doing rescue, or did you guys have any rescue? I know you said about how there was bodies.
Yes, there
was a lot.
lots of bodies in Lake Lure.
Oh man.
We didn't do any of the rescue. They asked us to go look and check out the area, and we would report back and tell them what was going on.
Okay.
A lot of the fire departments were calling us directly or emailing because, or they would send, get messages out through Facebook to let us know that they needed supplies, and they were isolated because roads were completely gone.
Okay. And that's how, thank God, Elon came in and got those Starlinks up, because you couldn't. There was no way for them to get in contact.
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
And the Starlink system's amazing. You plug them in, 100-foot of cable, set the thing on top of your car.
That is
scan the QR code, and it's working.
I've seen pilots with jets put them on. Have you seen that before?
Yep. They have them for aircraft. They have them for RVs, and they have them for stationary.
Cool. That is cool. Yeah, that's wow. That's amazing. So, I guess after that, you told me some interesting stories when Trump came in, President Trump. I guess it's one day before inauguration. Can I say President-elect, or is it President Trump?
I say President.
President Trump.
Yep.
He came in there, and you had an interesting story because you talked to Ivanka, right?
Yes, I talked to Ivanka.
How long was this after? Was this before Elon came?
No, well, it was Elon Musk had one of his right-hand men there.
Okay.
And he was there the whole time.
Okay.
But then Ivanka showed up.
Okay.
And, she was pretty much just getting a read on everything that was going on out there to help us out.
Okay.
And everything, and it was pretty cool. She showed up just a normal person,
That's pretty cool.
Really cool.
That's pretty cool. So you were there, you see Ivanka show up, and I assume you guys are at that base, and she wanted to know what was going on. She wanted to know what we want to know. Because no one else was reporting what was going on.
Exactly right. Yeah, they were keeping that well hidden.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's still devastation there. There's snow on the ground and people are still homeless there.
Oh, my
like
God.
right now, and this is
And you just
January.
don't hear. Oh, man. That is insanity.
It is.
And what was the flight like from you out of Nashville to there? What was your flight time?
Yeah, we went from Nashville to North Carolina is about 2 hours.
Okay.
But we had to stop at Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Near Gatlinburg Airport to get refuel.
Okay.
Well, we got to Gatlinburg and we land, and there's 6 to 8 airplanes an hour coming in with supplies for North Carolina.
Wow.
So we saw all the people volunteering there, so we said, hey, let us know anywhere you need us to drop stuff off. We're headed that way, and if you have an area you want us to take stuff to, we will take a load. So we actually took 2 loads out for them.
Okay.
With about 400 pounds each.
Okay.
Just to keep us within CG. And we stayed within CG the whole time. We got out there, dropped off some stuff, went back, picked up some more, and then we went to North Carolina.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you here. I'm going to do a max performance takeoff. We're going to get translational lift, which we are almost in. I'm going to pull red line power. We're going to get our greatest amount per the distance that we're traveling. As we get up here, it's pretty good skyrocket. We're cruising up at 500 feet per minute. The 22 is not too bad. There's 40 knots.
Not for as cold as it is.
And we get around that imaginary obstacle, push the nose over, gain airspeed.
Snowstorms way out there.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that crazy?
It is.
Wow. Okay, so one of the things I want to know is you guys got out there. You're doing all this stuff, and I've heard from a little bird here, and we're not going to try to get too political here, but that there were some I'll just say government and non-government, maybe even EMS companies, who were blocking airfields off.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's true.
Yes.
So they were
true.
blocking airfields, and the people who were helping, they were not allowing them to help, private operators.
Because we were, as private operators, we were not third-party approved vendors through FEMA.
Okay.
So FEMA was threatening to cut off funding and help to people that took supplies from us.
Oh my God.
And that is a true story.
That is insanity.
We had a fire chief walked up to me after we landed and gave them a generator. We gave them a Starlink and some food. He came out to us and he told us to never return unannounced again. And I looked at him in shock. I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't return unannounced. And then he literally told me, FEMA said if we take anything else from you, you're not a third-party vendor, they will cut off funding for us and not help us rebuild.
That is insanity, John.
It's literally insane.
So did the fire chief, could you tell that fire chief was like, this is absolute bullshit, but I have to do this sort of thing?
Yep, because they gave me a list, and I got a picture on my phone of the list of fire departments that needed supplies.
Okay.
And they told us to go to those fire departments because they had not been contacted by FEMA yet.
Okay.
So we went to them and gave them supplies after that.
Because they had no access to roads. The only way you get in there was helicopter.
That's right. It's the only way.
It's the only way.
The roads were not just washed out, they were completely gone.
They were gone.
Wow. I know.
That's so cool. What a good story. So, I guess to wrap this up here, you guys took 3 R-44s. You put, how many hours did you put on the helicopters? Do you remember?
40 to 50 hours each.
40 to 50, so 150 hours on the helicopter. You guys know the cost of operating aircraft.
Yes.
Along with the crew and everything you guys had to do, the time you spent, plus the trucks that went there.
Yep.
And so you put a bunch of money into this to help out your fellow neighbor and the people who needed help.
Yep.
And you never got compensated for it.
No, we did a GoFundMe.
Okay.
It did a little bit.
So the people compensated you, but the people who should compensate you,
yeah, you would
not.
think. Yeah, oh yeah, they would not. There's no. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Well,
we weren't even wanted there. We were. It was like, go away so we can cover this all up.
And the people, I mean, you told me, you said in the hangar, you said, Matt, we were there, and there were people who somebody came up to you and said, I forgot who you said, but somebody came up to you and you were like, oh, it was during the presidential TFR thing, which I don't know if we have time to get in that story, but essentially John was like, hey, we need to go through this presidential TFR, and I'm telling you guys, we need to do it because people are dying.
Yes.
And that's just the reality of the situation. People will die. People are dying. We need to be there now.
Yes, and we needed to help them when we were doing it regardless.
Regardless
I
of
ended
anything.
up getting the squawk codes from the FAA.
That's pretty cool.
And
that was a pretty good story.
Went through all the channels to get it done legally.
There you
and
go.
We did. We kept flying. We stayed out of the way. We did our job.
That's pretty cool. So the Secret Service is calling you while you're flying and next to the Ospreys, and you're like waving at them, and they're like, "Who are those guys?"
Yep. Secret Service called back, and they're like, "Oh, nope, you're good to go. You're clear."
That's pretty cool. That is pretty badass. But you know what? You had to be there.
Yep.
You guys were saving lives. So, well, thank you, sir. Thank you for what you did.
Thank you.
And I know the people appreciate it. That is an amazing story. I'm so glad I was able to film this because we had to do this anyways. But I'm glad I was able to film it.
Oh, yeah. We were glad. We were just happy to be able to go and help people out.
So I'm going to leave a link in your in the description for your company,
Aerolux Aviation.
Aerolux Aviation. You guys should go check it out.
Sweet.
They do some cool stuff out in Nashville. One day I want to get down there and see all your operation. John also has a million more stories that are also very interesting, but we only have time for so much. He's got to catch a flight here soon. So appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to finish up here. We're going to finish up our check ride. I'm not sure 100% I'm going to put this in a video, and then we will get out of here. So thanks, guys, for watching. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Appreciate it.
All right, that was a blast. I really have never had more fun doing check ride stuff with the DP than that with John. He's awesome. So anyways, go check him out, guys. What an interesting guy. I really wish I could get him back on to do more stuff. Maybe in the future we could, but I gotta head out of here. Just shut down for like 5 minutes. Otherwise, the R4, it's so cold, the R44 Raven 2, which is fuel injected, will not start. So that's not good at all. So I gotta get out of here. And alrighty, let's get out of here, man. That was just such a shitty scenario for Paul, man. I gotta fly back to the hangar as soon as possible and get the big heater and try to go help them get that R44 started. But if I stay any longer in the R22, there is not a chance in the world that mine will start. So I gotta get out of here while it's still warm. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know if I'm going to make that into something, but man, that was a ton of fun. I'll see you guys on the next one. Now certified in the 22 to be an instructor, which is fun. So I'll see you guys later.